We start off with the case of Robert Tellis, who's a former Nevada politician facing murder charges in Las Vegas, Nevada. Back in 2020, police received a worrying 911 call.
Can you please send somebody here? My husband is going crazy.
The caller was the wife of elected county office administrator Robert Tellis.
He just won't leave us alone. He had too much to drink tonight, and it's just, me and my kids are scared.
When officers arrived on scene, they found Tellis slurring his words and unwilling to obey their orders.
This is my home. I haven't hurt anybody.
On top of that, Tellis claimed the officers had it out for him. He claimed he was innocent, but officers didn't take the bait.
You just want to take me down because I'm a public official. I did not touch anybody. I haven't hurt anybody. I am just being approached, and but you guys just want to take me down because I'm a public official. That's it. I'm a public official.
I'm sure your supervisors will love to see this bloody camera.
I am a public official. I am not stupid enough to do any of that.
There is sufficient evidence to book me right now.
There is sufficient evidence to book you right now, yes.
You're very certain about that?
I am very certain about that.
What started as a domestic battery case turned into something much more sinister. 2 years later, Tellis was arrested after his DNA was matched to a murder investigation. Journalist Jeff German was found murdered in his own backyard in September of 2022. These were the only clues. CCTV footage of a man in a straw hat, orange shirt, a duffel bag, and gray tennis shoes walking into German's yard. After the murder, the man got into a maroon SUV and drove away. Months earlier, German had published a series of unsavory articles exposing Tellis's bad deeds, including scandals, harassment, and even an illicit office affair. And because of those articles, Tellis lost the next election. Police had their suspect, but the investigation wasn't finished. After searching Tellis's house, police found incriminating evidence: gray tennis shoes cut into pieces and hidden under the couch, a straw hat also cut into pieces and inside a toolbox in the garage, a black duffel bag similar to the one the suspect wore. But that evidence is nothing compared to this. Tellis's DNA was found underneath German's fingernails. The evidence is clear, but he insists that he's innocent.
What are your feelings about Jeff Garriman? What's your opinion of Jeff Garriman?
You know, he didn't deserve to die. I was not necessarily a fan because, the articles, but, that's it. I don't know what else to say about it.
He acknowledged the bad blood between them, but refused to admit guilt.
How do you feel about Jeff Garriman's murder?
I think it's crazy.
But would the jury believe his pleas?
We, the jury in the above entitled case by the defendant, Robert Tellis, as follows. Murder with use of a deadly weapon, victim 60 years of age or older. Guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon, victim 60 years of age or older.
Shocked at their decision, Tellis tried one last time to convince the judge of his innocence.
I did not kill Mr. Garriman. And unfortunately, the people who should be held responsible, who should be brought to justice, the chances of that happening now, right this minute, are slim to none.
This is the moment Tellis learned his fate.
In accordance with the laws of Nevada, this court does now sentence you as follows. At this time, the court is going to sentence you to life in the Nevada Department of Corrections, with parole eligibility beginning after a minimum of 20 years has been served.
This case proves that not even cops are above the law. But would the same rule apply to one of the most powerful men in China? This is Bo Xilai, a disgraced minister of commerce charged with bribery, embezzlement, and abuse of office in Chongqing, China. Xilai was at the height of his power, close to becoming one of the most powerful people in China, but soon everything began to unravel. First, his wife Bo Xilai was charged in the murder of her close business partner, British businessman Neil Haywood. She confessed to poisoning him with cyanide and dumping his body in a hotel room. She was given life in prison, and her husband was forced to resign from office in disgrace. The crime was shocking, but not nearly as shocking as what came next. After her arrest, Xilai confessed to the police that her husband had received astonishing bribes.
If we needed anything like plane tickets, we contacted Zhu Ming.
Bo Xilai was arrested, but he denied all claims against him. He claims his wife set him up to get a reduced sentence. The judge, however, thinks differently.
南市中级人民法院
The judge pronounced Bo Xilai guilty, stripped him of all assets, and sentenced him to life in prison. The verdict was harsh, but Bo took the news gracefully.
Bo said that he felt that the judge handled the case in a civilized, rational, and fair manner.
Despite the guilty verdict, some people still think Bo is innocent.
We ordinary citizens all know Bo Xilai was an anti-gang crime hero in Chongqing. The hero has now been taken down, and there's nothing we can do about it. We want to attend his trial, but we're not allowed. How's it a public trial if we're not allowed in?
Bo's case is still shrouded in speculation, but there's nothing speculative about crawling on the floor, covered in blood. This is Vaughn, charged with first-degree murder in Norman, Oklahoma. Jordan Cannon and her husband Vaughn were both police officers for the county. They seemed happily married, but the truth was much darker. On August 30th, 2023, Cannon's co-workers answered a wellness check from the neighbors, but what they found sent chills down their spine.
Mister, is anybody else in there with you? No. My wife. Is she okay? No.
Cannon had locked himself in his room with his wife and was unwilling to open the door.
We need to help her, but we can't help her unless you help us. You know how this works. Okay. Don't have a weapon. Please don't have a weapon. Don't have a weapon. Please don't have a weapon. I have my phone.
Finally, he opened the door, but there was yet another surprise waiting for the police.
Come out to me. Uncle. Hey, come out to me. Uncle. Uncle. Uncle, come see me. 116 is coming out. Uncle, come see me.
At that moment, Cannon was on the phone with his uncle, and Jordan was nowhere to be seen.
Come on out, man. Come on out. Come on out.
They found her body on the bed, and the gun was still in the room.
Put your hands right back on. Uncle! Uncle! Stop, stop, stop. Stop. No! Yeah.
It wasn't long before the case went viral.
When officers arrived, they found a female deceased. She had been shot multiple times.
The world mourned for Jordan, but no one was more hurt than the family she left behind.
He took our baby away from us, and she had a long career ahead of her. She was going places, and now that's over.
Despite the public outrage, Cannon begged for sympathy.
Part of that included these quotes. "Please believe me when I say it is so much worse for me. I am tortured every single day. It's been brutal. I would take her place if God would let me."
He made one last plea to the judge, hoping for a lighter sentence.
And he also said, "I had to seek treatment for the abuse of alcohol. We spent countless hours in marriage counseling and agreed we did not want to give up on each other."
The judge didn't allow cameras during sentencing, but according to reports, Cannon was sentenced to life without parole for the murder. Cannon was sent away to finish his life on the other side of those iron bars. And at last, Jordan's family finds peace.
We'll never see her again until the afterlife, so I think it was only just that he spend the rest of his life in prison.
The officer's body cam after the 911 call was a main factor in putting Cannon behind bars. But what happens when the body cam is the cause of the 911 calls?
You're not going to put a pin on anybody here.
This is Tina Peters, facing multiple charges, including attempting to influence a public servant, conspiracy to commit criminal impersonation, and first-degree official misconduct in Grand Junction, Colorado. Tina Peters was a county election official helping to count votes during the 2020 presidential elections. Soon after the election, her supervisors noticed that Peters had given an unauthorized person access to all election records, allegedly to check for election fraud. They believed that the individual still had the information on a personal iPad, but when the police tracked them down to confiscate it, things got complicated.
You're not going to put a pin on anybody here. No, you do not.
Peters refused to cooperate.
Do you have the access? Okay, where'd you put it?
We don't have to tell you anything.
Officers were left with no other option. They had to use force.
Okay, Randy, put your cup down and turn around. Ma'am?
Let go of me. You let go of me. Let go of me. You're not resist. Let go of me. Let go of me. You're not resist. Oh, no. Let go of me. Go.
Peters was handcuffed for obstruction of justice, but if anything, the handcuffs made her more disruptive.
It hurts. Let go of me. Give me my
Do not hit. Do you understand?
Let go of me. You're hurting me. And I'm going to show all the bruises that you put on me.
So if you're not going to cooperate, you'll be charged with obstructing.
Let go of me.
You understand that?
You let go of me now.
No, ma'am.
This officer had the patience of a saint until he snapped.
You're hurting me.
Walk then.
You're hurting me. Damn it.
Police released Peters with a stern warning and considered the case closed. But little did they know this was just the beginning.
So I'm calling you from Chicago today. I just saw a video of Tina Peters being detained, and it was embarrassing.
After the body cam was featured on the news, citizens backed up the emergency line with their complaints.
I used to back the blue, and I always thought the sheriff's departments throughout the country were the best and everybody else were crap. Well, what they did to Tina Peters today was outrageous. When did they become a communist?
And when the police recovered the iPad, things got even worse. Here was a video with Tina Peters allowing an unauthorized user to access the voting software. Predictably, Peters denied everything.
We've seen a lot going on in this country where innocent citizens are being attacked.
I did not even know the Secretary of State had secret passwords into Mesa County equipment till later on when those videos and pictures came out.
She told the world she was a scapegoat for the real criminals.
Until they either kill me or put me in prison, I'm going to keep speaking out about the injustice.
And even compared herself to President Trump.
It's just like with Donald Trump's indictment. My indictment has nothing to do with the facts.
Despite her acting innocent, the judge demanded her presence in court.
I'm not a criminal. I've lived my life with honor and honesty. I took care of my husband faithfully even after he got sick.
Ignoring the evidence, Peters still claimed innocence.
I'm very taken back by how awful I've been depicted when I was just trying to do my job.
Then she got into an argument with the judge.
It's not funny. My life is on the line here, Your Honor.
No, you're the one who's making this allegation that one.
It's not an allegation.
Two, that I know it's true. You're saying that as if I believe you, and I did not say that.
She would bring religion into it. And was that a threat?
I've often said God doesn't like people messing with his kids. And I believe I'm a child of God.
The jury didn't take the bait. This is the moment Tina Peters learned her verdict.
As to count one, we, the jury, find the defendant Tina Peters guilty of count number 1, attempt to influence a public servant.
But if you thought it was over, think again. This is the moment Peters learned her sentence.
You are no hero, you abused your position, and you're a charlatan who used and is still using your prior position in office to peddle a snake oil that's been proven to be junk time and time again. It's just more lies. As to counts 1 and 4, the judgment and sentence of the court is 3.5 years in the Department of Corrections.
Peters was given a total of 8.5 years in prison for fraud. Her actions were nothing short of shocking. But what happens when the corrupt official is at one of the highest offices in the state? This is Larry Householder, charged with theft in office, aggravated theft, and telecommunications fraud in Columbus, Ohio. In 2020, Householder was one of the most powerful men in Ohio until it all came crumbling down. Householder, a speaker in the Ohio House of Representatives, was very supportive of a bill that would save the power plants of a big energy corporation, First Energy. But their shady deal came to light when the Ohio Organized Crime Organization received a tip that Householder had accepted more than $61 million in bribes to pass that bill. Predictably, Householder claimed innocence.
I've never solicited a bribe. I've never been bribed. And I've never sold legislation.
But it was no use. His crimes had steep consequences.
The resolution is adopted, and Larry Householder is expelled from the Ohio House of Representatives.
Householder was fired from his position, and that wasn't all. He was immediately arrested and sent to jail to await trial. And surprisingly, he didn't look worried.
Say the truth will set you free, and I look forward to it.
He was certain the judge would clear his name, and he kept that attitude in court.
If the truth comes out when we are standing in a jury of our peers, then I won't be found guilty of a felony, and if that's the case, I think I can be reelected.
Ready for another day?
Ready.
But his expectations were about to be slashed. Householder was found guilty of the scheme. This is his reaction to the verdict.
Larry Householder has been found guilty of corruption, a jury deciding his fate today.
Well, I would have done everything I could possibly do to save Ohio jobs in those power plants. So that's what I have to say. Absolutely. No question about it.
Householder was shocked by that verdict, but his sentence was even more unexpected.
20 years behind bars. That's the maximum sentence Larry Householder could have received and what the judge gave the former speaker.
The judge threw the book at Householder, giving him a 20-year sentence. And at Householder's age, 65, that means spending what could be the rest of his life in prison.